Hello, hello, hello. This is the Vanilla JavaScript podcast. I'm Chris Ferdinandi. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk about learning and gradual improvement. I think this might be a shorter one. I don't really have anything kind of like written or prepared here. I was just going to ramble for a few minutes. But before we dig in, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up / reminder that this Friday, I kick off the biggest sale of the year for my store. So from Black Friday through Cyber Monday, every single thing I sell will be 50% off. Every guide, every video course, every bundle. I'm also opening up registration for a new Vanilla JavaScript Academy, which kicks off in January, and that's also half off. And as if that weren't good enough, if you buy one of my bundles or register for Academy, you'll also get over $1,400 in bonus discounts and for other products, as well as some freebies. And I'll be sharing all of the details on that tomorrow at gomakethings.com. Possibly today, depending on when you're getting this, if this just hit your email box or showed up in your Apple Podcast subscription or something like that. So anyways, let's dig into today's show. So back when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a writer of some kind. I enjoyed creative writing. I really enjoyed journalism. And I ended up in a class with who was, for the first month or two of that year, I think my worst teacher, Mrs. S. So she was really, really tough. She was my English teacher, and every single assignment that I hand in, I would get back like a B, which I know is not terrible. Like, it's not C's, it's not D's, but I'd get back a B. I'd try really hard. I'd get back a B. She'd give me some feedback. Here's some things you need to improve. Next time around, I'd improve those things. I'd get my paper back, another B. More notes on more things I need to improve. Next paper, I'd do it again. It's just over and over again. There was always more things that I needed to improve, and my grade never changed. I was always getting a B. About 2, maybe 3 months into the year, I got back a paper, and I had gotten an A. And what had happened was, every single project, every single assignment, I was focusing on just a few things and getting a little bit better each time. And I was annoyed at first because I felt like Mrs. S kept shifting the goalpost on me. So, here's where you need to hit. Oh, wait, no, now here's where you need to hit. Here's where you need to hit. But what it did was it forced me to just gradually keep learning more and more things and keep getting better. And it was for me, it was like, I look back on it in retrospect, and she did something I think a little bit similar to what I do in the Vanilla JavaScript Academy, where there's kind of this gradual improvement of skills. So you're never, like, she could have thrown all the things I needed to do better at me all at once. Instead, she focused on just a couple of things, and that's what I ended up working on for that week's assignment. If she had thrown everything at me, I would have gotten overwhelmed. I never would have hit it. She didn't grade me down so bad that I felt demotivated and didn't want to keep going. It was this real sweet spot of learning. And one of the things I found after running my online training program, Vanilla JavaScript Academy, for about 5 or 6 sessions now, is if you give people too much to learn up front, a lot of people are just going to get demotivated and quit. And if you give people not enough or with not enough frequency, they're going to get bored and they're going to move on to something else. And then they'll forget everything they learned by the time they come back. And so finding that ideal cadence of learning is really, really important. And it's one of the things I've baked into. Last year, earlier this year rather, I did a complete overhaul of the program. And I went from throwing 2 projects and a bunch of lessons at people at the beginning of the week to every other day, you're getting a smaller lesson that builds sequentially on the work you did before. So every 2 days, you're getting gradually a little bit better than you were the day before. And it's this really nice system. I found that my students enjoy the cadence a lot more, so much so that I'm actually having a handful of students this year have literally begged me to create a V2 of the program so that they can continue and they'll have more to do when this one ends. So it really seems to work. And a lot of it is based on kind of what I went through with my English teacher, Mrs. S, and kind of the way I learned. It was really, really frustrating at the time. But when I came out of it, like just a couple months into it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually like a pretty good writer now. I was looking back on the stuff I had been doing at the beginning of the year, and it was awful in retrospect. And I think coding is kind of the same way. One of the other things I've seen, I get a lot of emails from students who are like, I try and do these projects and I end up not my projects, but like I'll get emails from new people on my list. And one of the big problem points for them is that they've tried to start learning a couple of times. They try and tackle projects and they always get frustrated and quit. And the underlying or the common denominator there always seems to be that they've tried to take on projects that are too big. I want to build an app. I want to make a game. Those things are awesome. You can totally get there. They're part of the Vanilla JavaScript Academy, but they happen later in the program. They happen about halfway in, after you've done some smaller projects and gotten a taste of what it's like to actually complete something and then move on. And so yeah, I think for me, like really the takeaway here is just this idea of learning gradually. A lot of people are really excited. They want to just jump right into it and know it all. And it's a surefire way to get demotivated. And that doesn't mean you have to start with like really boring kind of stuff, like this is a variable, this is a function. Like you can jump right into coding right away. Just the projects need to be smaller and a little more manageable. You don't want to go the other route either. Like I've found a lot of people when they're trying to teach programming, they start with the real fundamentals and you're not like actually building anything. You're just practicing. It'd be a little bit like if you were a musician, you can either learn by trying to figure out how to play a song, or you can learn by practicing your scales. And knowing your scales is a really important kind of foundation to being a good musician, but it's also really boring. Like when you're learning, you want to play songs. That's why you want to play piano or guitar or whatever instrument, you're passionate about. The same is true for coding. Like the quicker I can get my students from I don't know anything to I just built something that works and does something cool, the better it is for them because it's exciting. You're more likely to stick with it. And so in my my pocket guides and in my academy program, that is always the focus. Is I want to get you from I didn't know this to I just built something with it in as little time as possible. Ideally, like an hour or less. So yeah, just something to keep in mind as you're learning. If you feel like you're stuck, you're frustrated, you can't move forward, maybe take a step back and break your project up into smaller parts that build on each other rather than trying to do everything all at once. So that's it for today. Don't forget to keep an eye out for my Black Friday/Cyber Monday sale. It's my biggest event of the year with some awesome deals and a ton of great bonus offers. And I think you're going to love it. See you next time. Cheers.